we can try giving and accepting the feedback to each other and to discuss the real life situations where you have difficulties with that. And let me share the screen. So as it was already been said that my name is Tamara. I'm the Youth Council alumna of 2016-2018. I'm also ACA alumna 2019, and currently I work as a delivery manager at MedDev. It is a custom software development company, and recently I moved from Bishkek to Almaty to work closely with one of our clients, Alfa Bank Kazakhstan. So our agenda today is actually the definition of the feedback, the characteristics of good and bad feedback, the training session where we'll try to give and accept the feedback, and after all, we'll discuss the lessons learned and what we are taking from today's session. And let me start a bit from the background of this topic and why it was important to me to share. Recently, I was on vacation and I spent quite a lot of time thinking about the team I would like to be a part on and to collaborate with, because we all know that most of the projects, like the biggest projects that we make in our life, it's all about teamwork. And one of the most important criteria for me working in the team is the transparent system of giving the feedback, because a good feedback means for me that the person cares for me and the person wants me to grow and be better. And this idea came to me from the No Rules book, written by the founder of the Netflix. And they also encourage their employees to give and share the feedback, and they cultivate the openness, but in order not to bring the whole corporate culture to the mass where everyone just shares their opinion regarding these situations, they have two simple rules for people who give the feedback and for those who accept. Is first of all, the willingness to help. So you know about the goals of the person and you suggest the solutions for the challenges he or she faces. And another point is being specific about what you say, so try avoiding the general commands. And vice versa, those who accept the feedback, they are supposed to be thankful. And why thankful? Because in most of the cases when we receive the negative feedback or some criticism, we unintentionally try to protect ourselves and rationalize our previous decisions. So it would seem like we are always right. And another important point is that feedback is not call to action. So despite your being thankful for that, you can either accept it or reject and decide that it is not so relevant to your situation and it is not helpful for you. And overall, the definition of the feedback based on that and how I perceive this is helping other people in acquiring the new experience and skills. But we all know that the feedback can be either good or bad, and in most of the cases, our environment does not very skilled in giving the feedback. And I've highlighted the 4 criteria of the bad feedback. It is not timely, too general, it is no or lack of the context, and no or lack of trust with the person who gives the feedback. But I would also like to know whether anyone would like to share their experience of giving the feedback which was not useful for them. Okay, let's try another option then. Let me reshare the tab. So could you please go to menti.com and using the code from the screen, write down the characteristics of the feedback you think unsuccessful. Does anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Of course. Guys, please share your comments and your thoughts.
The feedback that doesn't answer is like the question, I guess. Like that's unsuccessful feedback. Can you consider? Like,
Sir, can you please repeat? The connection was breaking.
like I mean, the feedback that doesn't like answer the real question, like without like any strong purposes and such things. So I guess that's unsuccessful feedback, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any example of that that you faced in your life?
Yeah, maybe like while we ask some questions from teachers, like they'll go like around the bush and they'll not answer like, what do you need? Like, so the answers that you want to get, but you're not supposed to like to get those answers. So that's, I guess, that might be like unsuccessful feedback.
I see. Thank you for sharing. I also see that there are much more words. Thanks for participating. Let's wait a bit and then discuss. So I thought one of the first comments was the feedback from friends. Those who put this, could you please comment? Why do you think that it's not successful case?
Yeah, it can be sometimes because friends are more willing to encourage us in the time that we are not right even, especially for example, mostly when we are about to present I don't know, a presentation or whatever, mostly we'll receive a really positive and also really like offer positive feedback from our friends, like you did great, everything is perfect, you don't need to do more than this or whatever. Sometimes like it cannot be really useful because our friends should they have to say our negative step as well, like you are some kind of weak in this part, if it'd be great if you could I don't know, if you could solve it, or if you can take notice of this issue, it can be kind of more useful, I think. It can be events like actually it is really usual among boys, because even when they have fighting, their friends were saying like, you did great, you just did it great, you should say this kind of the word for this guy or whatever. It's a kind of, I think, it is not showing that we have a strong friendship, but sometimes it needs that we have to be honest toward each other.
I see. Totally agree with you that we need to be honest and to give the honest feedback to each other. Not specific, aggressive, offensive, dishonest, going from envy, unclear, non-rational, humiliating, subjective. Actually, all the feedback is subjective, isn't it? So, what I see from your replies is that most of us face in our real life the really negative feedback, which comes from emotion rather than from the desire to help us to be better and to improve our skills and experience. Anyone else want to discuss their point aloud?
Me?
Okay, if not, let's move on. Let me go back to the slides. So, despite all of the things that we consider to be the characteristics of the bad feedback, there is only one key criteria for the feedback which is good. So this feedback should be used toward the goals of the person who gets this feedback. And if this is so, all other criteria can be not so significant and important, and the feedback might be not so timely, or you may not really trust the person who gave you the feedback. But if you think about this and you take some actions of this, the feedback is considered to be successful. So from this point, we are coming to the training session, and the training session rules are as follows. We'll discuss the case altogether, and then I need 2 volunteers to discuss the case in detail in the private room, and then came back to us and to give the feedback publicly to each other. Then you will change the roles in the case and try to express the feedback again. Then you share the experiences, and then watchers who are not the active participants of the case will evaluate the feedback and will discuss lessons learned. So any volunteers?
Sorry, could you please explain for what you need volunteers? I just faced with connection.
For the case. So we'll take the hypothetical case, the situation when one person needs to give the feedback to another person because of the goal they try to achieve, and to discuss the context of the situation, and then try to to make a play of the situation and practice giving the feedback.
Tamara, I think Shahnaza would like to be a volunteer.
Cool.
She's in
We need
chat.
another
Ozar.
one more.
And Tazar.
Cool. So let's read the case then. The context is quite typical for all of us. I believe we are all sometimes organize the events, and let's imagine that you are organizing a debate tournament with a team, and one of your team members that you never were before regularly skips the deadlines. You agree internally, and it endangers the whole event. So you have the person who is concerned about the event and another person who skipped deadlines and is not very due diligent. And they target the goal of the person who gives the feedback is to find out the reason for the missed deadlines and ways to influence the person in order to arrange event properly. And we don't know in this situation the reasons why the person skips the deadlines. Guys, volunteers, you can go to the private room for, I think, 5 minutes and discuss the case there to maybe share your context and add some details to the situation. And in the meantime, we'll discuss the evaluation criteria, and then volunteers will come back and we'll watch the situation of giving and accepting feedback. Cool. So evaluation questions. While watching the play, we need to, first of all, identify whether the feedback was helpful or not. If the feedback was helpful, it means the behavior of the feedback acceptor should change. And we also need to analyze what was good in giving feedback and accepting and what was not.
Tamara, can you please click the present button so we can see your presentation in a full mode?
I'm sure.
Thank you very much. In the meantime, guys, do you have any questions to Tamara regarding these evaluation questions?
Or maybe the case. We can discuss the case too.
If your microphone doesn't work for... Okay, Tuba, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. In my perspective, I think for the one that will have more strongly affect the independence of the person who is giving feedback or can change his behavior mostly will be feedback techniques that they use. Mostly, I think it can have more effect because I do agree that the way of talking people or experience or sharing their thoughts opinion is kind of different and we have to respect each other, but in some case the feedback techniques that people are using is, I think it's really important. For example, there are people who are using special techniques that even can attract like for example the speaker attention by giving the feedback. It means they will kind of spread a really positive energy. But there are techniques of that giving feedbacks that can have like make people kind of really sad for giving a feedback or whatever. But I think that what feedback techniques the people use is really a matter, and everyone should consider this issue. Thank you.
What feedback techniques do you usually use?
Uh,
Why a contribution in team is very important, and found out if he or she is applicable to apply any changes in a group. Uh, like we are like happy to see it and to accept everything, because uh, like being active in a team working is very important, and that's why accepting the ideas of the member who is not too active, that is important, because he or she can feel like feel can feel that like her opinion also matters for everyone, and it just helps to change something maybe.
Mm-hmm. I got your point. So, just to summarize for everyone's stress attention, um, we first need to synchronize on the goals. So we identify that we all want to arrange the event. Then we find the obstacles that prevent each member to perform their activities with due diligence. And then we specify the criteria by which he needs to change his or her behavior in order to still follow the goal. So you need to be active participant of the team in order to arrange the event. Otherwise, if you don't want to be a responsible member of the team, you are not organizing the event. This is clear. Adina, you also mentioned that we can change the behavior by raising the awareness and responsibility of the person. Could you please elaborate more on that? Adina? Okay, thank you.
I think she's not here because of her internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she picked off.
I see. Mm-hmm. No problem, no worries. Thank you for collaborating through chat as well. Um, Anyone else want to add something to the discussion? Okay. So then let's try to answer the evaluation questions. What do you think was good in the strategy of giving the feedback through raising awareness?
Oh, Adina just typed in the chat. Her microphone doesn't work, so I'll just read it out. She wrote, by raising awareness and responsibility of this person, through talks, I mean, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that. What can be wrong about the giving feedback to the person by raising awareness? What challenges do you see with that?
We can face with person's perception. For example, person like easily won't perceive your feedbacks properly, and that's a problem.
How can we solve that?
As I mentioned before, through talks, negotiations. So the main thing is to tell the person what you need to inform properly, so this person can understand you and perceive that feedback in a correct way. Like,
Mm-hmm. How about it that how about the fact that raising awareness and responsibility is usually a long-term process, but in most of the cases, we need the result and the change right away in order to have enough time to pivot and achieve our team's goals.
yes, it's a long-term process, and we just can remind about that responsibility and awareness by talks, but it's up to person to change his or her behaviors and such kind of criteria.
Do you have any short-term alternatives?
Maybe others do know about that.
Reminder, yes, if we are following the long-term strategy of raising awareness. The active participation is required. Yeah, sure. How about,
So if you
sorry, yeah, please,
okay,
please tell.
if you are talking about short-term methods of raising awareness, so it can be some like motivation or encouraging uh, to this person. For example, if the person meets deadlines and do not work properly on the tasks, so there is methods to provide, good atmosphere, like motivation to work effectively. So it can be like any award or bounces.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Um, did anybody try the collaboration in such cases when you try to help and do some stuff together with the person who is always out of time? What do you think about this option?
Yes, I think it's kind of working option. For example, mostly my small brother, like we are about to always encourage him in terms of her education, lesson as doing assignment or whatever, it's like by positive feedbacks. But when we just figure out that it's not really working well, but what we can do is like we can help him by the practical way of cooperation. For example, we just help him to organize his schedules, like So I sometimes will help him with the his assignment. It's kind of the make him feel better, and I think it would be better to help people in terms of the cooperation also can work well. But what I'm thinking, for example, what prevented me from giving effective feedback is this, like. In my perspective, it is not always good that we have to say always effective feedback, but for people that were not taking everything serious. For example, a boss is not really willing to always give a positive impact for their co-workers in the time that they know that they're doing their job better, or sometimes they're amazing, but they always want to have a specific behaviors toward of them, because they're thinking that if we always give them a positive impact feedback, they might think that they're perfect and they're great in every aspect, and they don't need to work on themselves more. And I think it's not a really useful. That is why sometimes it needs that we should consider both sides. Thank you.
Thank you. Getting back to the sandwich model, the feedback that we discussed before, would you say something good to the person who is meeting the deadlines? Any positive feedback too? Seems no. Okay. Do you face any other challenges in giving the feedback to your team members while collaboration? Sorry, I was away for a couple of seconds because of the internet connection problem. What was the last thing I told and you heard this?
You said that have you faced with any kind of the challenge while giving feedback uh, for your team members, if I understand better.
So anybody has some challenges? We're very lucky, guys.
Sometimes we face such challenges.
Sorry, didn't hear you well.
I said that yes, sometimes we face challenges.
Could you please tell us a case that concerns you the most? Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I do.
The case when we had a debate and we worked in a team, and then the time came and for feedback, giving a feedback. And then I wanted to give a really nice feedback to my partner, while I thought that he will like react to it negatively, and I refuse to say it because I see that the person is like too emotional, and he just accepted all the things like um, we can say near his heart, and that's why I refuse to like give such a feedbacks, and I think that everyone faced such challenges while wanted to give a feedback but refused to do it.
I see that's a really difficult situation. I sometimes I also struggle with this at my work, where I need to share the feedback to my colleagues, but I know they're emotional and perceive this really, um, really sensitive. And in such cases, I usually try to put myself in his or her shoes and try to um, show, first of all, that I'm on the side of the person I'm giving the feedback. So before sharing these thoughts on what could be improved and could be done better, I try to create this safe place to decrease this level of sensitivity and increase trust, so my feedback will be heard. And only after that, I'm I often use such words like I'm trying to help, or so I see what problem you're experiencing with, or I see that if you would do the thing in another way, this would bring you the better results. So that usually helps for me. Maybe some other thoughts on this, who uh, overcomes sharing the feedback with emotional and sensitive people. If not, we can go to the concluding part. And first of all, thank you for the interesting talk. And let's just summarize what we are taking from this session. And would you change something in your attitude to the feedback after that? Let's move. So let's just go to the Minticom again and share the insights you take with you today. You can also speak up if that is more convenient.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Like this, I found it out that how it is important to give feedback to other persons, because it can really help them to change in a better way. Maybe sometimes it can hurt them while they can think about it. It forces them to think that how they should change to a better way. And also, with the help of the feedbacks, like people or person can learn like very useful tricks, and learn very useful information about how to change in a better way.
I see. Thank you. Nothing special. So what feedback would you give to me? Given well-structured, sensible feedback is vital to provide changes or improvements of someone's behavior, attitude to work or people. Great comment. Anything else? Oh, one more point. So feedback is a unique tool to build a strong communication in one team. That's true. How to give right feedback, deal with work environment problems, negotiate, think critically. Cool. Great. So I think we can end our session. Thank you all for coming and participating. I hope that would help you somehow in the future. And have a nice evening.
Thank you very much, Tamara. I have a feedback for you. As for me, it was a great presentation, and I believe that it will help and enhance skills of communication for our YC members, because at the end of the day, they will receive their feedbacks and they will provide their feedbacks to certain projects that we will have. So guys, please keep in mind everything that Tamara has shared with you, because feedback is a crucial tool for project implementation. Because as I mentioned before, we will provide you with the feedback on your project implementation, and you will provide your feedback on your teamwork, on your just overall project implementation. And please keep in mind that feedback is a crucial tool for your communication within a team. So no proper communication will arise if there is no feedback from you. And it is like a big note to remember for team leaders. Please use a feedback tool to build a strong communication within your team. So thank you very much, Tamara. It was a pleasure to see you, to meet you after all these years of your graduation from C5+1 Youth Council. Thank you very much. I hope to see you tomorrow during the award ceremony. Okay, so guys, now please go to the conference hall, and I will make the announcement regarding the mass media contest.